lines, and let's start off with the Standard. We're told the ultimate power broker, and this is in focus, is Charles Njonjo. He's turned 100, and we saw him the other day visiting a national park and visiting the gorillas. But of course, he is part and parcel of Kenya's political history, and all these men that are pictured on the front page. You have a former all the former presidents actually, and former what would I call him, former Deputy President Oginga Odinga right here being pictured there. He had a role in the leadership of the country, and what he's being called right today in the paper is the kingmaker. Charles Njonjo was there when Jomo took power and worked with Mboya to tame Jaramogi, cleared the path for Moi, and helped Kibaki jump the queue. Well, then he fell into his own sword. He fell on his own sword. He turns 100 today, and no other Kenyan has ever had such a strong influence on government and politics. And it's quite incredible that he's still living right now, and he can actually witness what's happening in the country. So he's literally a living library, if I would call him that. What do you make of this focus on Charles Njonjo in today's paper as the top story?
I'm one person who admires Charles Njonjo.
Yes.
Because of through Charles Njonjo, you can see the discipline in a man, and you can see somebody who was focused and somebody who was ready to do his work throughout his public service, despite having some shortfalls here and there. But you can see he's a man who was determined, a man with an ambition, and a man who was ready to sacrifice or be in control of situations that other people feared to be. Because it's not surprising that Charles Njonjo is actually the headline, it gets the correct way, the ultimate power broker. Not just a power broker, but somebody who was in control and managed to see the faces of different government. That doesn't happen easily, because if you compare with the current people who are on the political landscape, you cannot compare anyone to Charles Njonjo. You cannot see anyone who can be able to emulate Charles Njonjo. So he's a person we admire, and we are privileged as a society to have a man like Charles Njonjo, and let us celebrate him. Let us learn from one or two things from him.
You're clearly a fan, and it's interesting. There's an interesting bit here that tells us he was not very keen to have his story told. And when he was asked, we're told on page 4 of the Standard, Njonjo was very categorical when it was suggested to him that his own story should be told. He said, "No, never. I will go to the grave with everything, not a word." What do you think about it? It's a shift from most political people in the limelight, or power brokers, as if you may, would want to be in the media, to have the stories told, to give you the secrets, even a book here and there.
That's why I'm saying the current people on the political scene, let me not use the power broker, but I can say they are cartels, the ones we have today.
Yes.
Because even if somebody, the other day somebody told us how he managed to how he managed to convince His Excellency the President and the Deputy President and Raila Odinga in accepting the first ruling from the Supreme Court, and to allow Jubilee government to be in government from 2013 to 2017. But Charles Njonjo was somebody who was ready to work from behind. He was ready to work from
the shadows.
The shadows, yes. And that's what you call being a power broker. That's what you call being a handler.
Yes. And
the right with the right qualities. It must be somebody who is disciplined, because if you are not disciplined, you cannot live to 100 years. Because if you are careless,
Okay, well, if you want to know the roles he plays in different regimes, then you need to take a look at the Standard. And, well, The Nation too is focusing on that. It's on teased on the top page, and more details are on page 10 and 11. A man who lives to 100 has a lot to be grateful for. Sir Charles counts his blessings. Get to know more about that. And I'd like to take a look at another story that has been going on for a while. And here on page 6 of the Nation, they're told drama at City Hall as ward reps vetting of Sonko's DG pick. And we did see the controversy that came off of that, and the governor, even the DPP, saying he's going to court because that pronouncement, according to him, had violated Mike Sonko's bail terms, and the governor's choice is mediocre, according to Mr. Chege Mwaura, and certainly not sustainable for where Nairobi needs to be heading to. What do you think about this?
The drama at City Hall lies squarely on Jubilee leadership. The backstops of the Jubilee leadership. What we are witnessing happening in Nairobi County, it's because Jubilee as a government, Jubilee as a ruling party has failed the people of Nairobi County.
Right.
Yes, because if Jubilee as a party was functioning well, was ready to help the people of Nairobi, could have sorted this mess that is happening in Nairobi. But since they have allowed this mess, and I think the reason why we are continuing seeing these problems in Nairobi County, and also we have seen also in Kiambu County, it's because there are certain individuals behind the scenes who are benefiting from this confusion. I will not be surprised to end up seeing that in 2022 or the following year, we'll be talking of other major scandals within Nairobi County or Kiambu County because of this confusion. How do you allow MCAs to be fighting every now and then instead of sitting down and sorting out the mess?
Right.
Why is it that Jubilee as a party cannot call even a PG? Not just, let's not talk about a PG, because that one is totally, we have seen it's totally, Jubilee party is unable. But how is it that Jubilee has failed to call its MCAs to order and allow the people within Nairobi and the stakeholders in Nairobi to sit down and sort out the mess in Nairobi County amicably? But
away from the Jubilee party, that the powers that be in terms of security have played a good role in ensuring that they're bringing accountability to governorship. We have the issue with Ferdinand Waititu and also Mike Sonko. So there's something to be said about that. But then when it comes to politics, a lot of our analysts suggest that we choose these leaders, so we just get what we decided we wanted. So there's also a role to be played by the whole process of democracy. When we pick these leaders, then how can we complain later on when they deliver this type of thing? You
see, we cannot say that we are the one who picked these leaders, so we should bear the consequences and not try and be able to mitigate the situation. Yes, because democracy to me, it's a process from selecting to elect, from nomination to election. Then when somebody is elected, as a functioning democracy, we must be able to hold that person accountable to the promises and manifesto he told us during the campaign period, so that he can be able to deliver. If he fails to deliver, then next time when we are going to election, we can say, gentleman or lady, we are sorry, but you promised us this and you did not deliver, so we are going for somebody else. But in Nairobi here, we are not being able to have that chance because there's confusion. And there are certain individuals who are benefiting from that confusion.
Okay. Yes. So let's see, but at the same, while there are some that are benefiting from them, it's the people that are not getting the right services, because we have had a lot of leaders complaining that the county government has ground to a near halt because of these sort of wrangling and disagreements, and the governor not having selected a DG earlier on. So it's a whole other story, and it's a developing story, so we can look forward to it moving, still being on the headlines. Now, we would be remiss if we did not mention the BBI, and the story tagged to that today is Uhuru to lead Mount Kenya BBI rallies. President expected to take charge of meeting in his backyard as pro-handshake MPs give conditions to Ruto allies for their attendance to the Mombasa meeting that's going to be taking place at the historic Tononoka grounds. What do you make of this, and that about turn by those perceived anti-BBI legislators?
You see, the unfortunate part about our politics is that our politics is in such a way that people are being profiled, then the moment you are profiled, there's a kind of a narrative to pigeonhole you so that you fit in their narrative.
Yes, yes.
So at the first instance, there's nobody who is opposing BBI.
Yes.
Report or BBI process.
Okay.
And it's on record that the Deputy President supports this process. It's on record that the President and Right Honorable Raila Odinga support the process. So nobody is opposing the process. What we are having is that there are some individuals who want to use the process to change it to fit to their narrative of us versus them.
Yes.
And I think what even the quarter that is skimming that narrative are afraid that they are not being given that opportunity, because the people who have been profiled as DP allied and therefore so-called branded Tanga have said that we are going to participate in this process.
Okay.
So why are you giving them ultimatum? And yet the BBI spirit is that it's to unite, to include everybody in the process, and to have tolerance.
And it's
so
I think it's counterintuitive when there would be this unity in a document that's meant to actually unite the country, but then just the political players are not acting in that accordingly. So this is going to be interesting to see how that one in Tononoka plays out, as well as the one in Uhuru Kenyatta's backyard. On that note, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more for you right here